You have an interesting case study in your book about Zoey Dunning. Share the lesson of her case with us.
Zoey is one of the two reasons I really wrote this book, so I'm very glad you asked me that question. Zoey, I had the good fortune of meeting when I was at Stanford Business School. She was actually in my class at Stanford, and right as we were finishing graduate school, she had an opportunity to make a difference in something that really mattered to her. Zoey was in the military before she went to business school. She went to the Naval Academy, and when we were at Stanford was the time when Bill Clinton was about to come into office. And Zoey is gay. She's been in the military in a situation where that could never be spoken. And now Bill Clinton is saying for the first time, we're going to repeal this don't ask, don't tell policy. And so all the people who were in the military who were like her, very quiet about their sexual background, they kind of came alive and said, okay, we've got to do something about this. So there was a rally here in Silicon Valley. And she remembers thinking at that time, I want to go speak at that rally. She said that the speech kind of downloaded right to her typewriter that day, but she said she knew that the likelihood is if she spoke at that rally, her career in the military was over, because she'd seen several people who were around her who had spoken up about their sexuality get kicked out. She decided to go ahead. She was graduating business school, she was in the reserves, she had this long, good, solid career behind her, and she already had a job. So she said, her risk profile was better than many of the people around her who were career military. And she also realized that as a Naval Academy graduate and a Stanford MBA, she had a platform in a way that others didn't. She's also a very funny and very accomplished speaker, so I think that helped. So she got up at this rally and she spoke, and within literally 3 days, the military started pushing her out. But the uncommon story is that she is the only person who actually won her lawsuit against the military. She's the only person in history that was allowed to stay in the military after she came out as gay. And she had a unique defense. It's complicated, I won't get into it. But after that won, it took 2 years, $500,000 of this law firm that supported her, who did it pro bono. After that 2 years were over, she was now literally the only person in the military who is gay, openly gay, and still in the military. And now, as she says, it became a crusade for her. She really felt like she was the one. She was the only person. She was speaking for an entire community of people. And because they could not speak for themselves, it's so much unlike all the rest of us. Whatever cause I'm moving forward, there's other people who are moving that cause forward. And for her, they were too. But none of those people were in the military. They might be ex-military people. They might be all kinds of people who had lots to say, but they knew nothing about what the real experience was that she was having and others were having. So she stayed in the military for many more years. I think it took 18 more years of her career pushing this cause forward. As she got promoted twice, despite all the people saying that gays in the military are going to ruin the military. She got promoted to commander, and she also started a nonprofit which was working with service people who were facing retaliation for being potentially gay, even if they were or they were not. At the same time, she had a career, and she went out whenever she could and spoke and testified in front of the Senate and spoke to anyone who would speak with her. And I think this story is so remarkable because it was a story of somebody who was the only voice. And when Obama finally repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, she was up there on the stage with him, one of the few people who got one of the pens after he signed the bill repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And she tells the story so beautifully, and now they've done a documentary about her and some other folks, and she's now going to be running for office. And I just look at everything she's done as someone who lived the honor that she was taught in the military. She lived the code of being an honorable person, and she overcame enormous odds and a lot of people who were wanting her to be much quieter. They wanted her to shut up and stand aside and don't talk about this. And she always said to me during the interview that when I talked with her about it, she said, my mom always taught me that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And she wanted to be part of the solution, and I think that's the way she's lived her life. So to me, this leader to thought leader story here is someone who stands for something that I believe was the right thing to stand for. And whether you do or don't believe that, it's still a remarkable story, and it's a remarkable reminder to all of us. When we get in our head and we say, I'm not the one, I'm not smart enough, I'm not capable, my family doesn't want me, whatever the story is that we're telling ourselves, I always remind people, like, who are you the one that is speaking? Who are you the only one that has the platform and the voice that can move something important forward? Who are you the representative for? And if you can figure that out, often you can get out of your own way and get those voices out of your head and just move forward like Zoey did. So I honor her and respect her, but I love her story because I think it helps the rest of us to be braver and to stand forward, which is what we should all be doing.
It really does help when sometimes you can think less about what you're doing and more about, and the risks you're taking, and more about the community that you're advocating for. But also, I think her story just really highlights that there's the triumphs of being a thought leader, but then there's a lot of sacrifices too. I mean, years and years of criticisms and setbacks and probably all kinds of harassment.
Yeah, and to keep your sense of humor through that, which she did, I have to give her credit, because it takes something. But also, as you say, stick to it. 18 years. I look at these kind of stories, or I look at some people who have moved forward the rights of African Americans or women or whatever cause they care about. It just means that there is much change that's still needed, and thank goodness for people like her who are being part of that story.